Joker, Prime Earth. The Joker is a homicidal maniac and the arch-nemesis of Batman. Though his precise origin is unknown even to him, he is known to have been forced to swim through a vat of chemicals which turned his skin white, his hair green and left his face permanently locked in a rictus grin. Multiple possible origins. The Joker suggested many possible origins for how he came to be, though, due to his unreliable nature, many of the details are contradictory and thought to be untrue. He has said that he doesn't think of his past as multiple choice, but more choose your own adventure. One of the Joker's favorite theories was that he lived with his murderous Aunt Eunice. An abusive guardian, she bathed him with bleach, resulting in irreparable brain damage as well as the drainage of all pigmentation from his skin. When he was an active criminal, the Joker taunted multiple patients in Arkham Manor with his true origin story, usually feeding into their delusions. He told Ephraim Snow that he was the devil himself, having visited Snow 15 years before the Joker's first official appearance to encourage the man to abduct and murder little girls to bring them back to hell. He told Cordelia Doe that he was secretly an android that was abducting and replacing people with perfect android copies so he could build himself a new body. He made Morton Wales believe he was an evil clown that visited Gotham in the early 20th century that went from factory to factory making people laugh until they died. Allegedly, the townspeople burned the clown to death on the plot of land that would one day become Ace Chemical Processing Plant. Joker told Morton that he didn't really die in the fire and that, every time someone laughed in Gotham, he got stronger, adding to Morton's irrational fear of laughing. Joker told a man named Cassidy, a former soldier, that he was the first in a long line of soldiers trained by the US government to become part of their secret Batman army. Batman was not one person, but a squad of hundreds of men secretly trained to oppress society. The Joker had defected, becoming the Batman army's greatest threat, in an effort to save the American people from their supposed heroes. Dr. Maureen Zahir allegedly analyzed every source of information she could access to assemble Joker's true origin. She claimed the Joker's real name was William Distal. When he was 4 years old, his sister went missing and his parents were so frightened by the experience they abandoned him. He grew up in multiple foster homes until he ran away when he was 16. During the 0 year, he faked his death, leaving some of his blood on an unidentified body, to start his life anew. However, this story, too, was put into question, because the Joker claimed to have fabricated most of Zahir's evidence to cheer her up. He may have been Albie, a criminal who fell into a vat of acid at ACE Chemicals at the culmination of Batman's first case. Even before becoming the Joker, his DNA was not available on any records to confirm or deny any of these stories. Known origin. However, despite the inconsistencies in his story, some parts of the Joker's backstory were apparently true. Before becoming the Joker, he was a failed stand-up comedian with a wife named Jeannie. Jeannie was pregnant with their first child, but due to his difficult life he started becoming erratic and mentally imbalanced. Jeannie, fearing for both her life and the life of their unborn child, went to the police, who helped her fake her death and moved to Alaska to escape her husband. The man who would become the Joker was informed that his wife and child had died, forcing him to experience one bad day. Many years later, Jeannie continued to live in Alaska in peace with her son, neither she nor the Joker knowing where they had landed in life. Bruce Wayne, who had encountered the comedian before he became the Joker, was aware of Jeannie's true fate and kept it a secret in order to protect her and her son. Because of this, he was also forced to keep Joker's true name a secret. The canonicity of this story is contentious. See notes for more information. Red Hood Gang. The Joker began his criminal career as Red Hood 1, the leader of the Red Hood Gang, comprised of blackmailed individuals from the middle and upper classes of Gotham that the Red Hood kept under his sway. With the ideology of pointless violence, the gang dared the authorities to try and catch them all. He first faced off against Bruce Wayne when the returned billionaire-turned-vigilante rescued some hostages from the madman. Having been tipped off by Edward Nygma, the Red Hood sent his gang to kill Bruce Wayne, catching the billionaire in an explosion in his brownstone. Taunting Wayne as he lay dying, Red Hood 1 added insult to injury by shooting 2 bullets through a portrait of Wayne's deceased parents before leaving the future vigilante to his injuries. As the tales of the urban legend known as the Batman rose in the wake of Wayne's attempted assassination, the ranks of the Red Hood gang began to slowly dwindle bit by bit, each member caught one by one. Having discovered Red Hood 1's plan, Wayne blew the gang's cover at Ace Chemical Processing Plant where the criminals were planning to steal flesh-eating chemicals. Realizing the jig was up, the Red Hood gang led an assault there against the Batman and the GCPD. Red Hood 1 attempted to escape in a helicopter. Batman fired his grappling line around his enemy's ankle, yanking him from the aircraft and sending them both plummeting through the weakened roof of the chemical plant. Almost falling into a vat of chemicals, Red Hood 1 was caught by Batman, who attempted to save the criminal's life. Claiming this moment to only be the beginning, the gang leader broke free of his savior's grasp and plummeted into the chemicals below. Despite Batman's prediction that the chemicals were enough to kill him, the man's body was not recovered. Soon after Red Hood 1's disappearance, the body of a man named William Distal was found discarded and covered in lye. Though the GCPD were aware that Distal had at one point acted as Red Hood 1, the lie made it impossible to tell when he had been murdered as early as Batman's first appearance, as late as the fight within ACE Chemicals, or any time in between. Thus, the man who fell in the acid could have been Red Hood 1 for an indiscriminate amount of time. The man who fell in the acid did survive, having had his skin turned pale white and his hair green. The man reappeared sometime later, unhinged with criminal insanity, calling himself the Joker. Creating more Jokers. The Joker claimed, not long after this transformation, he hatched a plan to create more people like him, to spread his chaos farther than he could do alone. Using the same chemicals that transformed him, the Joker infected multiple other people, also turning them into Jokers, too. However, of his experiments, only 2 survived. Unclear on who was the original, there were now 3 near-identical men calling themselves the Joker. Allegedly, the 3 Jokers, delineating between themselves with their nicknames, the Criminal, the Clown, and the Comedian, would alternate their positions, terrorizing Batman for years. They kept their origin a secret, never making it clear that the Joker's inconsistent personality and seeming omnipotence was because the mantle was shared by 3 separate people. The Criminal, cold and calculated, tended to target Batman the most early in his career. The Clown seemed most active a few years into Batman's career. And the Comedian apparently was more prominent later in Batman's career. The canonicity of this story is contentious. See notes for more information. First year. Not long after the 0 year, the Joker resurfaced and quickly made a name for himself in the city. His first attempted crime was trying to poison the Gotham Reservoir, an act that Batman successfully stopped. According to Batman himself, despite the lack of confirmed information on the Bat computer, he had pieced together the Joker's true identity within a week of his first attack. The canonicity of this story is contentious. See notes for more information. According to the Joker, after Batman took on an apprentice with his first Robin, Joker began thinking several steps ahead and orchestrated events he believed would lead to Grayson's replacement. Setting his sights on the young Jason Todd, the Joker faked Jason's parents' deaths to force the boy to believe he was an orphan and follow a path that would lead him to becoming Batman's next sidekick. However, the Joker is an unreliable narrator, and this may have been a lie to manipulate Jason. The War of Jokes and Riddles. Near the conclusion of Batman's second year as a vigilante, Joker found himself with the unique inability to laugh, thought to be caused by his continued inability to beat the Bat. Going on a chaotic killing spree of comedians, the Joker was tracked down by the Riddler, who had broken free after a year in prison, to offer that the two work together to fight Batman. Joker didn't find this offer funny though, and shot the Riddler in the stomach, instigating what would later be known as the War of Jokes and Riddles. The Joker and Riddler both recruited every villain in Gotham they could to fight in their war, which raged through Gotham for weeks, accumulating numerous civilian casualties. Batman, unable to simultaneously stop both sides, was forced to focus on one and chose to defeat Joker's side first. With Riddler and Batman's combined efforts, Joker's army was picked off until only Kite Man remained, who they knew they could use to find Joker and end the war. In the final confrontation, the Riddler revealed that the entire plot of the war was orchestrated by him as a means to make Joker laugh, and Batman, unable to control his rage over how many deaths were caused in service of such a ridiculous motive, attempted to stab Riddler with a knife. In a surprise twist, the knife was stopped only by Joker, saving two of his enemies and regaining his ability to laugh. Other early crimes. The Joker's notoriety continued to grow to the point that he operated his own gang of henchmen in Gotham. At some indiscriminate point early in the Joker's criminal career, he and his gang terrorized the Gotham Zoo, killing its employees. While there, a baby gorilla caught the Joker's attention, and the clown killed its mother to raise it as his new sidekick. Naming the gorilla Jackanapes, Joker and his son terrorized Gotham until, on a mission to kill a Gotham City councilwoman for trying to close the Gotham Zoo, Jackanapes fell into a river and seemingly drowned. The Joker was unfazed at the death of his son, instead insisting he get a refund for the swimming lessons he purchased. Meanwhile, the Joker was in and out of Arkham Asylum constantly. In one of his stays at the asylum, the madman actually managed to seduce his psychiatrist into letting him escape and join him as his criminal accomplice Harley Quinn. One of Joker's early plans drew the attention of the Gotham Gazette and, in particular, one of their journalists, Tommy Blackgrow. trying to investigate the clown that he clearly underestimated. Black Crow was captured by Joker and, still undaunted, proceeded to tell the madman that he's probably the way he is because he doesn't have any friends, a comment that Black Crow later regretted when Joker took it upon himself to make the journalist his best friend. At some point, Joker, as well as Penguin, Riddler and Catwoman, was contacted by the designer and new criminal in Gotham who volunteered to make their wildest schemes a reality. Though the other criminals bought into it, the Joker, however, caused the whole deal to fall apart and seemingly killed the designer, and the villains burned down his base to leave no trace. As years passed, Joker's crimes became more violent and personal, such as torturing and paralyzing Barbara Gordon and even killing the second Robin. Again and again, Batman defeated Joker and sent him to Arkham, but his crimes had now hit much closer to home. Faces of Death. Years later, the Joker is a homicidal killer being hunted by Gotham's police force. After a skirmish with Batman, the Joker is caught and taken to Arkham Asylum. There, the dollmaker pays him a visit, which the Joker seems to have been expecting. The two have cordially arranged this meeting, and the Joker has assigned his visitor with a special task. He has the dollmaker cut off his face and pin it to the wall. Afterward, the Joker is assumed dead by virtually everyone except Batman, and hundreds of mourners have surrounded the GCPD building in a mock vigil, calling for Joker's face to be returned to them and Batman's head too. Soon afterward, Harley Quinn learns of her putin's death and betrays the Suicide Squad by orchestrating a mass prison break at Belle Reve Penitentiary. Afterward, she travels back to Gotham City, turning herself in at Gotham City Police Headquarters, all in the hopes of stealing back the Joker's face. Death of the Family. The Joker made his return to Gotham City a year after his disappearance. He infiltrated the GCPD headquarters, killing the lights, slaughtering several cops and making his presence known to Gordon. In the following days, he reenacted some of his earliest crimes, such as publicly announcing his intention to poison the mayor, with each crime having some morbid twist to it. After using Harley Quinn to distract Batman, the Joker went after anyone who has a connection to Batman. In order, he vanquished Batgirl, Catwoman, Robin, Nightwing, Red Robin and Red Hood. Joker brought them all to Arkham Asylum. By the time Batman came, Joker had his defenses ready and lured the Dark Knight into his trap. Batman complied, hoping to learn more of his adversary's plans. Joker placed the entire Bat family on a large table, with bandages around their faces. He claimed he had removed their faces as Dollmaker had removed his. He also explained that he had instructed Dollmaker to remove his face to show that under his grin, there was only more grin. He left them and set the scene on fire. Batman broke free. He liberated his allies and discovered their faces were still intact. He caught up with Joker, and the fight was short. Batman taunted him, claiming to have discovered who the Joker was before his chemical bath. Not wanting to hear it, Joker jumped off the cliff. In the pit, Batman would later learn, was a pool of the element dionysium, which had the supernatural ability to heal the Joker's dismembered face skin and grant him superhuman healing, which he would later incorporate into his next plot against the Bat. Also in the cave, Joker discovered the cave painting of a bat that he wouldn't realize the significance of until even later. Eric Border. Soon after his supposed death off the cliff, Joker reappeared, but disguised as a new orderly at Arkham Asylum. Using pigmentation to conceal the pale skin on his new face and muscle relaxant pills to suppress his constant smile, Joker adopted the name Eric Border, Eric being a combination pun of the Norse and Gothic words eternal and prince respectively, and border, which is a homophone of the archaic word border meaning jester. Befriending Dr. Maureen Zahir, Joker worked in Arkham, formulating his plan for return. In his new identity, the criminal kept to his roots by playing a dark prank on his new friend Dr. Zahir by encouraging her to write a book about the true origin of the Joker. The clown falsified documents and paid people off in order to construct another origin story that could only potentially be true. As part of his dark prank, the Joker gave each of 4 inmates a different origin for himself: a demon, a robot, a man from another time, and a soldier who was the first in an army of Batman created by the government, with a path through Gotham that eventually leads to the publisher of Dr. Zahir's book, where the 5th inmate has Dr. Zahir tell them her story. Endgame. Shedding his Eric Border identity almost a year after adopting it, Joker came back with an endgame in mind for Batman. Unlike his last dastardly plot, the clown made clear that he was no longer playing. He intended to make this his final dance with the Bat. Drugging the Justice League using a new and extremely potent Joker venom, the madman sent Batman's superhero allies after the vigilante, forcing Batman to single-handedly fend off the entire Justice League. Wasting no time, Joker infected the entire city with the same virus, turning them all into laughing homicidal maniacs. Revealing that he knew Batman's secret identity, Joker then singled out some of Batman's closest allies, putting a hatchet into Commissioner Gordon's chest and cutting off Alfred's right hand with a meat cleaver. After a gruesome parade in the middle of Gotham, Joker made his way down into the depths of Gotham to his Dionysium pit, where he fought Batman in a duel to the death. With both eventually severely wounded and Joker's own supply of Dionysium neutralized, Batman and the Joker died together, side by side, under the streets of Gotham. The Dionysium, despite having thought to been destroyed in the cave's collapse, managed to still revive both Bruce and the Joker, healing the scars on their bodies but also robbing them of their memories. The man who was once the Joker, his skin and hair turned back to normal, returned to society, and started a new life at a butcher shop. Months later, Bruce, also living a normal life without the knowledge that he was once the Batman, met the former Joker in the park, who had intended to kill himself that night but eventually backed down. A short time later, after Bruce used a machine in the Batcave to return all his memories of being Batman, the insanity of his former life seeped back into the reformed Joker's mind, causing him to return to his normal Joker self. Powers and abilities. Powers. Unique physiology. Due to his chemical submergence, Joker has gained beyond-average advantages over normal humans as well as further exposure has tainted his physiology. Pain resistance. Joker venom immunity. Cheating death. The Joker has an uncanny ability to cheat deadly situations, including before his transformation into the Joker, when he was still Red Hood 1. Abilities. Genius-level intellect. Gadgetry. Chemistry. Joker produced the original Joker venom and all of its later versions. Toxicology. Escapology. Investigation. Leadership. Tactical analysis. Disguise. Joker was able to use skin pigments and face relaxers to disguise himself as a new orderly at Arkham Asylum named Eric Border. Joker's disguise was so convincing, he was able to fool even Batman for several months before returning to his clown persona. Hand-to-hand combat. Advanced Joker is a highly skilled fighter, due to his speed and unpredictability. He beat down and captured the likes of Alfred Pennyworth. He killed 19 police officers inside the GCPD and killed all of the top lieutenants of every crime family in Gotham. Joker also bested the members of the Bat family, beating the likes of Nightwing, Red Hood, Red Robin, Robin and Batgirl in battle and held them hostage. Joker even held his own against a damaged and weary Batman in battle, almost winning in the process. Joker also managed to defeat the Batman who laughs, with the aid of Batman. Indomitable will. Intimidation. Stealth. Swimming. Throwing. Joker is capable of throwing his sharp cards as projectile weapons with great accuracy. Weaponry. Joker is highly skilled with knives in combat. Other characteristics. Mental disorder. Missing eye. Joker had his right eye shot out by Harley Quinn. Paraphernalia. Equipment. Joker venom. Joker teeth. Joker cards. Dionysium, formerly Joker's spine, formerly contained the chemical compound dionysium within it. This allowed Joker to recover from injuries at an accelerated rate. He was able to regenerate his face after it was cut off, and instantly heal from a lethal gunshot.
If you like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you later, bye bye.